Sleep is essential to health. Everyone has to do it. So why aren't Black Americans getting enough of it?
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear how racism is the singular cause of sleep deprivation among Black Americans.
More than a third of Americans aren't getting enough sleep.
The recommended amount of sleep varies by age, with newborns needing the most and adults needing at least 7 hours.
Surprisingly, this is all accurate information.
While over 60% of Americans are getting enough restful sleep, there's a striking disparity when you look at race. Only a little over half of Black Americans reported getting 7 hours or more of sleep.
Okay, pause. Let's look at this table. While it is true that Blacks may be the highest percentage of people not getting enough sleep, other races are far above them as well. Also, Hispanics get about as much sleep as white people do, but I wonder why you didn't include them in the title of your article. I'm not sure you can just take this disparity and conclude that the main cause of it is racial discrimination.
Researchers point to stress caused by discrimination as one strong possibility.
Of course you did. It's one strong possibility for not getting enough sleep. Let's see how strong this possibility really is.
Since 2000, over 700 published studies have established a connection between discrimination and physical and mental wellness.
Right, but of those 700 studies establishing a connection between discrimination and physical and mental health, how many of those established a correlation between discrimination and the sleep aspect of physical and mental health?
In one study, scientists found that the more discrimination a person felt, the less deep sleep they experienced.
1. Okay.
The Black participants of this study perceived more discrimination and slept more in light sleep and less in deep sleep.
Okay, notice how she says Black participants of this study perceived more discrimination and therefore slept worse. Now, this could just be fancy word usage, but I was curious, why say perceived discrimination when you could say something like participants in the study were exposed to discrimination in some sort of experiment? So I found the article that the video used and ya boy went deep! The video cites a meta-analysis which used 134 scientific articles testing perceived discrimination and the physical and psychological health effects it has on participants. However, 91% of the articles used in the meta-analysis measured perceived discrimination based on surveys and self-reporting. Now, this is not to say that these past incidences of discrimination don't count. However, I don't have to be the one to tell you that surveys can be constructed in a way that will garnish specific and desired results. Also, it goes without saying that since these are 134 separate articles, chances are they didn't use the same survey or the criteria when defining perceived discrimination. Also, when having a participant look into the past, they'll often choose the event that caused them the most stress and not something that would cause them average stress on their health or sleep. Even when certain studies that use experimental methods of inducing perceived discrimination, such as having participants look at racist films or receiving feedback from an intentional sexist evaluator, they also included having the participant write about past experiences of discrimination. Funny thing about these sexist evaluators, some participants showed a positive physical and psychological reaction to perceived discrimination, like being inclined to eat well and exercise, sort of like using the haters as motivation. Apparently in one of the studies, women that perceived their evaluator to be sexist had a more positive psychological response than women who didn't. I guess not many feminists were participating that day. The meta-analysis goes on to cite other studies on unhealthy behavior, such as smoking and alcohol use. However, it can't conclude a correlation between perceived discrimination and unhealthy behavior, since again, none of the studies referenced used experimental models. Now, I don't need this meta-analysis to conclude that research has found this correlation. I don't doubt that people use behaviors such as smoking and drinking to escape stress, some of which could be caused by discrimination. I would argue that behaviors such as drinking, smoking, and drug use affect your sleep even more than general stress. However, these behaviors are not automatically placed on the body when discrimination happens, and people can choose whether to engage in them or not.
Poor sleep quality is also strongly associated with how much money you make. Black Americans are more likely to live in poverty compared to white Americans. It's a function of economics. It shows people who are working shifts probably won't get the best sleep compared to folks who have a consistent schedule.
Of course it is. If you're working odd jobs with changing shifts, this would make anyone tired and a little stressed. However, I don't see discrimination automatically being the factor that led you to choose these jobs, and hence why you're not getting enough sleep.
All of these things, the environment, the economy, stress, can compound on existing health conditions. There's a connection between neighborhood quality and sleep quality too. Poor communities are faced with higher pollution, elevated noise levels, crime, greater population density, and sometimes limited access to air conditioning.
It seems more likely to me that all of these factors, the lower average income, the higher average crime rate in poorer neighborhoods, the higher average obesity rate, the higher pollution in certain neighborhoods, and others that Vox even admits are true, are the cause of stress and thus a lack of sleep, not the other way around, where discrimination causes stress and all of these factors leading to that lack of sleep. This is classic Vox. What they'll do is they'll find some disparity among racial groups and immediately blame it on discrimination, without even taking other factors into consideration. So before concluding that one disparity between racial groups is caused by inherent discrimination, let's look at all the factors and let's get all of our information correct.
Long-term stress can lead to chronic elevated cortisol levels, which suppress the immune system, increase blood pressure, contribute to obesity, and more. Obesity, which affects almost half of all Black adults in the US, contributes to other serious sleep conditions like sleep apnea.
The rest of the video, and this is where I even agree with them, goes on to state that sleep disparities will lead to other health disparities, and this is, of course, without a doubt, true.
There's a suspicion that disparities in sleep are also contributing to disparities in other areas in health.
Oh, we're past suspicion, okay? The science is in. It's true. If you don't get enough sleep, your health suffers.
Well, duh.
As always, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, please subscribe and share the video with a friend. Also, follow me on Twitter, where you can suggest content you'd like to see. Until next time.